So, with title update 6 and episode 2 releasing soon, they're actually gonna release at the same time, sometime in mid-October they said. So I thought I would go through the most important changes, since this is the biggest patch in the Division history actually, in terms of balancing and changes. And we're also getting some new content as well. It's a bit similar to 1.4 I would say, with a lot of focus on balancing and reworking stuff, making the gameplay experience better, which I think is important to happen now and not in a year. Just like 1.4 was kind of the saving grace for Division 1. I'm not gonna dive in too deep into everything, because then the video would be like an hour long, but I just thought I would collect the most important changes and talk a bit about them, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys probably have no clue what's actually coming, right? But before we get into that, I just want to tell you about one of the most ambitious RPG projects of 2019 has just been released. It can only really be compared with the biggest PC and console titles, and the best part, it's totally free. Raid have an amazing storyline, awesome 3D graphics, giant boss fights, PvP battles, and hundreds of champions to collect and customize. 10 million players worldwide have already downloaded the game in less than 6 months. In Raid, you have the ability to personally customize your champions, choosing their artifacts and creating a unique master build for each one of them. What I like about this game is that everybody can find something for themselves. Some love collecting characters, some are all about the storyline and graphics, and I personally am down for the PvP. But that came as no surprise for you guys, right? With over 300,000 reviews, Raid has almost a perfect score on the Play Store. The game is growing super fast, and the highly anticipated new Faction Wars feature is now live. And they also added a new daily login reward for the first 90 days in the game. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and you will get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as a part of the new player program to start your journey. You can also find me in the game under the nickname widdz, so good luck and see you in the game. So let's get started with the gear set changes. So there's no more 6-piece, you only need to have 4 equipped to get all the bonuses. Which means some of the bonuses got removed, but they all kept like their core functions. Chest and backpack gets an additional high-end gear talent that didn't roll there before. Which is really good to see, because the gear set kinda felt mad because you didn't get the talent, right? But now you get it on the chest and backpack, so that's a great change. The raid gear sets are now in the general loot pool. However, the chest and backpack are still exclusive to the raid though. But overall, I think that's a great change, like everybody can get the 4-piece going. And there's still a reason to go into the hardest content in the game, which is the raid. Then we have a pretty huge change to brand sets. All brand sets have items for all different slots. Only exception is the 511 set, since it's a real world reference and they don't make the other items in real life. But I heard that this might change, so I guess we will see on launch if they actually get all 6 pieces. And then we have named items, which right now is nothing special, but they are changing them completely. They used to just be reskins of existing weapons with a unique skin, with a story behind them. Now, however, they rework them so they are gonna be more powerful than their normal item. They will have a unique talent that are a perfect version of an already existing talent. For example, an item that would give you a 10% boost, let's say like devastating, 10% weapon damage. That would give you 15% instead. So it's basically gonna be the new best in slot item to go for. The rest of the item is just RNG though, just like a normal item, and the talent can't be recalibrated away to another item. There will be 35 new named items when this patch drops, both weapons and gear. They will be rare drops and will add incentive to play harder difficulties, such as heroic missions. Also, some unique named items will only be obtainable in Dark Zone, which I personally think is really good, because before there was really no incentive at all to play heroic missions. And the Dark Zone one, I think it's fine too, as long as there's only a few items there and that they are PvP related. I think that makes sense. The named items will have a visual indicator so you can easily spot them if they drop, so you don't miss them. Then we have probably the best addition in my opinion in the patch, and it's targeted loot. Since the game have a lot of RNG, and if you're looking for a specific brand set, weapon type, gear slot, gear mod, skill mod, and even gear set, it used to be so hard to get them, but now you can actually target farm it. All the main missions and named zones will have a certain type of item assigned to them. This will rotate daily though. If you get a target loot drop, it will be highlighted on the ground, so you won't miss them. Good to know is that named bosses have a guaranteed chance to drop the target loot, while other normal NPCs and containers only have a chance. If you're doing open world activity, completion also have a guaranteed drop. In Dark Zone, it will work the same, just that they will drop as a contaminated item and you have to extract them. Then we have a recalibration station, and it got a completely new UI, and when you recal, you can choose an item that's actually in your stash. And yeah, talking about the stash, it got increased to 300 slots, finally. You can also recal from different colors, so let's say you have a yellow, like utility, you could roll that to a red attribute, weapon damage for example. So this makes it a bit easier to make your build, which is, yeah, just a good change as well. Then we have crafting, which they are buffing and making it easier to craft, and they're also raising the material cap. You can also get polycarbonates from deconstructing items now, which is actually quite huge, since that's one of the harder materials to gather. They will also show you a complete list of blueprints in game, so you know what you're missing and how to get them. The inventory got some changes too, adding a new gear tab so you can see all the new items you recently picked up. You can now flag them for donation, junk, and recal. You can also change your specialization on the fly now and save it in your loadout. Like finally, I've been asking for this since release, so yeah. And they also upped the loadout slot to 12. The Dark Zone is getting a few changes, not too much though, but one big one is that they changing the matchmaking system, so it will put you in a server with players in, making the servers more populated, since that was a huge issue before, so servers should not feel as empty now. They also added extra supply drop that will spawn in cleared landmarks, and also your extraction have a small chance to get ambushed by Black Tusk in occupied Dark Zone. Thieves Den is getting a rework. It's getting a vendor with a rotating stock, just like the normal vendors I assume, and you buy the items with the Dark Zone currencies such as MRE. They haven't figured out what items you can buy there yet though, and Thieves Den will only be in normal Dark Zone. Then we have some more balancing, actually really huge balancing to all weapons in the game, except shotguns, which is coming later. They did say that shotguns will have armor damage instead of melee damage as a bonus though. The weapon changes are huge and it's mainly buffs, which hopefully gonna bring a way bigger variety in weapons people use. Exotic weapons did get some buffs and changes as well, and a lot of changes to the gear talents, with a big change making passive talents unique, meaning you can't stack them. If you're interested more in the weapon balancing, exotics, and the talents, you can check this video I made earlier when I talked a bit more in depth about this. And talking about weapons, they did actually remove critical strike range from all weapon types, which means you can crit on all ranges now. Before you couldn't crit with like a AR or LMG if you didn't have a 10-meter distance, so this is quite big. With that change though, you're probably thinking that hipfire is gonna be extremely good in PvP now. No, they actually changed the movement speed while hipfiring. So now you walk like the Terminator when you hipfire, so super slow. I'm actually quite happy with that though, since that's a change that I asked for like 2 years ago when they destroyed hipfire in my opinion. The hipfire should either be as tight that it was in 1.0 to 1.4, or it should be like close to useless in my opinion. So I do think this is the right way to go, especially since it is a Tom Clancy shooter. This change might make shotguns extremely good though, so hopefully they manage to balance them correctly in PvP. And yeah, talking about movement a bit, they did make the starts and stops a bit snappier, and yeah, faster vaulting as well. Then we have a few PvP changes, but are actually really good. So normalization is removed, and it will now instead only buff your items up to gear score level 500 if you had lower gear score than that. Talents will still have a PvE and PvP version though. Conflict is getting a new mode, it's called Elimination. It's best out of 7 rounds, 1 life per round. The boosters in this mode will give you team revive or a proximity pulse. They added a weekly conflict project and improved the rewards, and you can now switch loadouts in the loading screen between matches. I honestly don't think elimination is a thing that you should have in Division, because I don't think Division PvP works well with that. It's more about the fast-paced combat in my opinion. But I'm open to try this, but I don't think this is what most Division players want though. It feels like they're trying to go too competitive with a game that should not be competitive in PvP because it just doesn't work. But that's basically most of the biggest changes we're getting, which in my opinion it's huge. Like it's a lot of quality of life and it's just making the game, it's gonna just play so much better. And I wish the game actually came with this when it released though, but better late than never I guess. And yeah, that's basically title update 6. So what is episode 2? As far as we know right now, we know that we're gonna get Pentagon in episode 2. We don't know what that is yet. We're gonna get a new specialization. We're gonna get 3 new main missions and a second raid as well. But we don't really know when or more than that. So I mean, when I get the information, I will cover it. So yeah, but that's basically it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about the changes. Like, will you try it out? I'm actually a little bit excited with all these changes, and I haven't really played the game much at all the last 2 months. So it's gonna be nice to come back and try the game with these changes. Hopefully there will be content enough to play though. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But yeah, that's it. See you guys in the next video.